It's time to talk some football on the SportsMax zone. There are 6 match weeks remaining before the start of the Jamaica Premier League playoffs. Teams will continue to fight for playoff positions this weekend with a full slate of matches set for matchweek 21. These are the games to be contested. We have Humber Lion up against Portmore United. Arnett Gardens will be seeing Chapelton Maroons Tivoli up against Cavalier. Malines played Donby Holden. That match is live on SportsMax. Harbour View up against Portmore United, also live on our channel. Falkland, they see Waterhouse, and Montego Bay United up against Mount Pleasant. Well, defending champions Harbour View are in sparkling form. They are unbeaten in their last 7 games. And this Sunday, live on SportsMax, they will face Portmore United, who are themselves in good form with 3 wins from their last 4 matches. Well, our in-house football analyst, no stranger, Leger Williams, joins us this afternoon to discuss this big game. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
All right, so let me get right to it. What are we to expect? We have described it as a massive game. Both teams, of course, in good form. What am I to expect?
Well, you're to expect a really good game, a really tight game. Harbour View versus Portmore. Anyone who has been following Jamaican football for any amount of time know how big of a game this is. Portmore with the most leagues in league history with 7. Harbour View with the second most with 5. They're the defending champions as well. Harbour View are pushing for the top 2. Portmore are pushing for the playoffs. So there's a lot at stake for both teams. So if we're just speaking about that, it's going to be a really good game. It's going to be a really tight game, as most Harbour View games are. Portmore have finally hit form as I predicted them to do. So they'll be looking to continue that and continue pushing up the table because they have to get wins. It's still 3 points between them and the top 6, so they'll need the playoff places as well. It's going to be a really good game. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I know you spoke about Harbour View, 3 points off the top 4, and of course looking to get that automatic qualification to the semi-finals. We just need to remind our viewers as well, Harbour View are the defending champions. Do you think, I know last season was last season, but you know, will that have any part to play in the quality of the match that we see from Harbour View?
I think so, because Harbour View, they have a lot at stake. From the start of the season, they've made their intentions clear. They started well, then they fell off. They've chopped and changed, and they finally found a winning formula. Last week, they were playing Cavalier. That's a really tough game, and they defeated them really in a really good fashion as well. They played some good football. They were really tough. They made it really hard for Cavalier. So I think their confidence will be really high going into this game, but so too will be Portmore. They've had some really good results lately, not only in the Premier League, but in the Links Cup as well, where they defeated Arnett Gardens. So it's going to be a really good game, I think. Definitely the game of the round.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued about Portmore's recent rise in form, specifically their goal-scoring form. 4 goals in their last match. I can't remember the last time Portmore scored 4 goals in a match. We'd probably have to go back to the 2019-2020 season that was aborted,
probably.
Or even the season before that. Obviously, Lamar Walker and Alex Marshall would have added some bite to their offensive thrust, but they're still off a playoff spot. But on form, Portmore looking as if they're charging for a playoff position.
Yeah, they are. I said it last week. I made the bold prediction that they were going to get that spot. And although the Humber Lion win, because Humber Lion were ahead of them, although that win may have pushed it back a little bit, Waterhouse dropped points. Yeah. But you mentioned the goals, Sir Lance. And if you think about that now with Portmore, last week in this game now, they scored 3 games, the game that you see now against Donby Holden. Then they scored 4 last week. Yeah. That is a third of the goals that they've scored for the entire season. 33%.
From just 2 games.
From just 2 games. So you mentioned the upturn in their goal scoring form. Yeah. It's really been good for them, and it's come at the right time as well, because their defense has always been good. They have the best defense in the league, joint best defense in the league with Humber Lion. They've only scored 21 goals, as I mentioned, but they've drawn 10 games. Mm-hmm. That's the most in the league. That's really what's been killing them, because they have the joint fewest losses in the league as well this season, with only 3 in 19 games. So they're 3 points off the top 6. They have a game in hand, but that game in hand is against Mount Pleasant, who aren't in the best of form, which I'll get on to, but that's still always going to be a tough game. So they have to try and get the result here against Portmore.
Yeah, you said the Mount Pleasant dip in form, which you will get into. So let's go there now then, because they're having problems.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still looking comfortable for a playoff spot, but you don't want to be at the back end of the season looking as if you're losing form.
And they started so well.
Yeah.
Exactly. 13 games into the season, they had only conceded 7 goals. They were looking really good. But their last 6, they've only won one of those last 6 matches. And I really don't want to be that guy, but I predicted that as well, just based on the fact that they were depending too much on their quality of players to push them through games. Last week we saw them take the lead against Malines. Ricardo Morris, one of their quality players, scoring that goal. But then they faded away against a resurgent Malines team even. So Mount Pleasant, they're not doing too well. They'll be traveling to Montego Bay. They'll be taking on Montego Bay at Catherine. So that's going to be the journey. Yes, it's from St. Anne, but it's a journey for them as well. Montego Bay United, they'll be looking, because they've drawn, 5 games in a row now. They're under new management. They're playing more positive football. So they'll be looking to really get a win, try and get some positive results going into next season, towards the end of this season as well. So it's going to be a tough game for Mount Pleasant, I think, on Monday.
Yeah, don't feel I didn't see how you slipped away with saying, I don't want to really be that guy, when he wanted to, post about his predictions and getting them right. Now I'm going to ask you to predict about Montego Bay and that coach, the new coach, Nider Dos Santos. What do you think about him? Do you think he has what it takes to, get his team to improve? Because I think it's too late for them to, of course, qualify. Or is it not?
It is too late for them, but they know that they're trying to incorporate some young players into the team. They're trying to see if they can. They're trying to see what they have for next year, really.
So
trying to predict for the Montego Bay Mount Pleasant game. I'm actually going to predict another draw. I'm not a guy that bets against trends, So if Montego Bay United have drawn 5 games, Mount Pleasant have been drawing games as well, and they have been winning. So I'm predicting a low-scoring draw for that one.
Yeah, and of course it's very, very big for Mount Pleasant as well, because if they don't walk away with a win, they can drop out of the top 2, and that's not a good look for a team that started so strong.
Yeah, it's really not a good look. They've invested a lot of money as well. They're already in 3rd, but they do have a game in hand against Portmore, which I mentioned earlier will be a really tough game. So it's going to be, it's paramount that they get that result. I'm not sure if they're going to, just based on form of both teams. I wouldn't even be surprised if Montego Bay spring the surprise on them and get the win, but I'm sticking to a draw as my prediction for that game.
All right, Mr. Prediction. Leger, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, I will be monitoring this match very closely, even if I have another assignment, because I want to see on Monday if your predictions were right.
I want to see as well.
No pressure, a lot of pressure. All right, well, viewers, let's take a quick break. Remember, the Jamaica Premier League lives on your home of champions, and you don't want to miss a moment of the action. Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news, and entertainment.